Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? Welcome back to the Financial Efficiency Masterclass. And in this video, we're going to be talking about aligning your money with your values and beliefs. And I've created something that I call the Values and Beliefs Workbook. I know it's not the most marketing creative title, but I will say this: it's the value of the content inside of it, I think, will change your life. One of the things that was really important to me when creating a pseudo sales process with Life 180 was creating an education process, creating a process for clients to have an experience that would say, whether or not you decide to do business with us, your experience going through that process will leave you feeling in such a way that your life was changed for the better, right? Whether you work with us, whether you buy products from us, whether you hire us for services to help you in some way, shape, or form, at the end of the day, I want the experience to be noteworthy enough for you in your life that you would write a positive review, for instance, right? Just because. And I think as long as we do that, if we have a process like that, then we all win, right? Like, that's what this is about. And so I think that experience starts with this. With the clients that I work with personally, I'll tell you this. This is a really important thing for me, because the clients that I personally work with, one of the things that I say to every single one of them is, listen, you don't need to fill this Values and Beliefs Workbook out. Like, I'm not going to require you to do that. If you feel like it's not important for the person that you work with to really know you and understand you intimately, well, then I would argue that there's an issue there, and that's your issue, not mine. But I'm not going to require you to do something that you're a grown adult. It's your life, right? So I'm not going to require anybody to do anything, but I would really strongly recommend that you take the time and give this its due process, because this exercise, this foundational exercise, I think, is the opportunity for you to understand, how do I align my money with my values and beliefs? How do I get that alignment in a way that makes sense to me? I know my wife used to give me a hard time. Is like, I used to use this phrase, like, the reason people struggle with money is because their money is not in alignment with their values and beliefs. And my wife would be like, Chris, nobody understands what that means. I was like, crap, you're right. Like, what do I do about that? And so I created this process, and I want to walk through it really quickly with you, because I think it's going to be really, really important for you to take the time and go through it. Now, full transparency, this whole process is not designed to be fast, because we're talking about your money. We're talking about your financial future. This should be worthy of you spending the time on it. That's the way I look at this. Now, once again, you can go as deep and intense with this as you want to go, or you can keep it surface level. It's totally up to you. I would say go through it and get with the person that you're working with, but I would also argue I would never take recommendations personally from anybody when it came to my money if the person didn't truly understand who I was, what my life was about, what my vision for my life was, what it was for me, what my vision for my legacy was, all these different things, right? And so that is the purpose of what I'm going to go through here. So without further ado, let's get into this. I want to just kind of walk through it really briefly, just so you can understand what you're going to be getting. Now, what you'll also see is down on the page below, there is a free download of this Values and Beliefs Workbook. You can go through it, you can fill it out, and I suggest that you do, and like I said, that you take the time and go through it. So first and foremost, we have to define, what is your money paradigm, i.e., what do you believe about money, right? So first and foremost, we have to define, what do you believe your definition of wealth is, right? I'm not talking about being rich. Rich can be quantified in the form of zeros in a bank account, right? And how many commas are in your bank account. No, I'm talking, do you define it as money, time, lifestyle, contribution? Like, what drives your fulfillment? I know for me, lifestyle, freedom, contribution, time freedom, money is really low on my list. I am not going to sacrifice my lifestyle, my time with my family, just for money. Now, I've been blessed enough to have enough money, and I've built my life in a way very, very intentionally over the past decade to get to the place where I am, and I can kind of have ultimately everything that I was going for. But that, once again, isn't by accident. So then we go from there, is like, then I really want people to think about, what's your definition of a paradigm? Like, what are you thinking Like, have you ever really sat and thought about what a paradigm even is? I want you to go and Google it and look it up and think about it. What's your current wealth money paradigm? What are your emotions and thoughts about money in relationship to your life and wealth, and what are your beliefs around that? Remember the ant and the elephant thing that I talked about the last video. The human brain is only going to allow you to put 100% of effort into something you believe with 100% certainty you could be successful with. So what is your paradigm around this? What do you believe around with it? And, why? Ultimately, why is it what it is? Like I said, we learn things from our parents. We learn things from a generation before us. We learn things from the media. We learn things from teachers and mentors. And a lot of times, one of the things that holds us back is the things that we learned, because they served us for a period of time, but they're not necessarily serving us moving forward, right? That's what it comes down to. So I would argue, let's get into this and say, I want you to go through and figure out with your money paradigm, what are your top 4 priorities in your life? And then say, how much of your time do you spend on those top 4 priorities? Then, who are the 10 most important people in your life? How much time do you spend on those 10 most important people? What I find here is what people say are important to them and how they show up in their life. There's a vast divide between the two. This column doesn't get filled out so well. People are really good about being like, this is important to me, but there's an incongruence. And so what does that do? When we live incongruently in our life, it creates a barrier in our subconscious. And when I go back to the ant and the elephant, right? Our subconscious is firing off at 4 billion neurons a second compared to our conscious mind saying 4 million neurons a second. And when we don't execute accordingly and there becomes this Grand Canyon style cavern between the two, what happens is we feel like a fraud. We get imposter syndrome. We don't have confidence. We don't believe we're going to be successful. And, we have this disconnect. And ultimately that leads to a lot of challenges in us actually achieving our goals, because subconsciously we don't believe we're going to be successful. So therefore we don't put our effort into attempting to be successful, because the human brain won't allow you to do it. That's just the way the subconscious mind works. And that's the important, my buddy Anthony Trucks wrote a book called Identity Shift, and it was all about this idea, right? So who do you work for? What do you do for work right now? And how does what you do for work align with your top 4 priorities and 10 most important people, right? So like, how in alignment, and what are you doing there? Now, what are your values and beliefs in regards to what do you believe the government debt will continue? Do you believe the government debt will continue to increase or go down? How worried about future of the US dollar are you? Do you believe federal taxes will go up or down? Why? How worried about unfunded liabilities like Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security are you? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how in control do you feel about achieving your personal financial results? That's the question, right? So go through here. We got to understand, what do we believe about these things? Because these are all variables that impact your money, that if you're just reactively dealing with your money and doing what everybody told you to do, even though you put your money in like a 401k or IRA and you're like, taxes are going to go up, all these different variables, the question is, are you in alignment with that? And if not, once again, it comes down to a self-sabotage situation, right? It's because I always say to people, life doesn't exist on a spreadsheet, and these are the reasons why. Because I could maybe model out a spreadsheet that shows you optimally why one financial strategy is better than another, but I don't care about what it looks like on paper, because we're human beings. We're more emotional beings than we are logical beings. That is just the way it is. And so we need to make sure that we are aligning our subconscious behaviors and our habits with what we say we want to accomplish, right? Like, and we have to be intentional about what we actually want to accomplish, and we have to know what we want to accomplish, and kind of start with the end in mind, as Stephen Covey would say in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and reverse engineer our lives to actually accomplish those goals. And we can now, if we understand where we want to go, we could be way more intentional to understand what we're living about and how we want to show up every day. And now we can look at the attributes of the different assets that we utilize in our life to actually accomplish those goals, right? That's what this is about. So be intentional. What does your life look like 10 years from now? What actions do you need to take daily, monthly, annually to accomplish that? What thinking do you have that is holding you back from achieving your ideal life? What changes are you willing to make and start implementing today? Journal about all this for 60 minutes. Find a quiet place and actually sit and think about it. I really, really encourage you, if you have a family, if you have a spouse, if you have business partners, if you're building something cool, and here's the deal. A lot of times, this is some of the feedback that I've gotten. Chris, I don't even know. I can't think 10 years out. That's not how my brain works. Okay, think 3 years from now. Think a year from now. You are where you are because of who you are. And what got you where you are right now is not going to get you where you want to go. That goes for you, that goes for me, that goes for everybody in this world. We have to be continuously growing. If we're not growing, we're dying. If we're not moving forward, we're moving backwards. There is no such thing as neutral in this life. There just isn't. That's the reality of the situation. And so I don't care if you talk 10 years or 3 years, whatever works for you, whatever you're comfortable with. But at the end of the day, what changes are you willing to start making today to accomplish that goal? You pick the time frame, I don't care. I pick 10 years because to me, you could go from where you are to completely financially free 10 years from now. That's what I know to be true, okay? That's what I know to be true. So what do you have for a personal vision statement? I'm not gonna read all this out, but it goes through, we have a whole process to create your vision statement for your life so you can actually have a vision statement. And we actually have, I think, these got reordered somehow. But the vision statement is number 7. We're going to do that. But we have, first and foremost, core values, okay? And I'll go back to that because you see the 5 here. So we have the core values. So we're going to go through here, and I want you to check off all the core values that are important to you, okay? Ultimately, what you're going to do is you're going to check off all these core values kind of like this, right? If people have authenticity is a big core value, consciousness, boldness, independence, energy, having high energy, all these things. Just go through them, figure out the core values that are important to you. And then what I want you to do is I want you to disseminate all the values that you think are important to you and break it down into your top 5 core values, okay? And then when you do that, then create value statements for each one of those core values on why they're important to you. And there's a guide here on how to do it. Then it goes into the vision statement on number 7 that I just showed you. And the one that you get in the download will be in the right order. This got reorganized on my Vibe board somehow. But then the life vision template, you're going to go through this. It's a whole exercise that's going to help you create a vision statement based on your core values. The vision statement's going to be there. And then you want to go through this process using your core values and your vision statement to figure out what is your mission statement. So by the time you're done this, you're going to have clarity on what your mission statement is, what your vision statement is, and ultimately you're going to have a personal mission statement that is going to be clear. It's going to be understood. It's going to be yours. You're going to be 100% able to show up and be in alignment with your own vision and mission. You're going to be able to communicate and clearly articulate to the people that you're working with, whether it's business, whether it's people you surround yourself and spend the time with, because they always say we are the people that we spend the most amount of time with, right? Or whether it's your financial advisor, your coach, your life insurance agent, whoever it is, if you're investing in real estate with partners, your core values, your mission, your vision, that becomes basically like a filter for you to make and run every financial decision that you make through. For me, when I left one of the top IUL companies in the country as a director of business development because I no longer believed in what I was doing, I struggled for several years trying to make the pivot into being an entrepreneur and launching my own agency and doing my own thing. And I struggled bad. I went through a lawsuit, a non-compete lawsuit and all this stuff, and I won the lawsuit, but it was really hard. And so in that transition though, I was offered jobs at other companies that paid $250,000 as salaries, and then there were bonuses and all these things that were going on. And that said, I didn't take those jobs. I didn't take the positions simply because my core values said if I did, I knew I'd be miserable because I would have had to compromise my greatest value, which is freedom, which is my ability to spend my time with my wife and my kids and to do things and have the freedom and the ability to communicate and coach and articulate in the way that I wanted to and not do it in somebody else's way, right? And so the fact that I had clarity on my core values allowed me to stay true. And even though I had to struggle for a little while to get through it, I built something that most people wish they could build, right? And it's not that I'm special. It's not that I have much more of a unique ability than anybody else. It just means I've had the dedication and determination and the clarity to actually just show up and execute, right? So that's what I want for you. If you can have complete clarity about what your goals and objectives are, what your mission is for your life, what your vision is, and you're clear on what your core values are, and you can articulate that to people. Life 180 is an acronym for living intentionally for excellence. You having clarity on your core values helps you show up more intentionally in your own life, more impactfully, more powerfully. And when you do that, you're going to see how your world around you changes. And when you do this, if you've ever read James Cleary's book, Atomic Habits, what you'll read in there is that if we can make just little incremental changes every single day, not these big, bold movements, but little incremental changes, and we show up a little more powerfully every single day, our life in a year from now will be something that we never dreamed it could be. And that's the reality. So anyway, hopefully that helps. I encourage you, go down below, download this, take the time, take the 2 to 3 to 4 hours, go through it, dedicate to it. It's one of the most important things that you can do. And like I said, one of the things that's elements of this whole process for you that's important to me is that you leave this experience with whatever coach you're working with whatever agent you're working with, and that your experience is saying, wow, my experience with working with the Life 180 team was powerful. It was impactful. And you'll have nothing but positive things to say because, you know, it wasn't about selling you a product. We genuinely, I do not want, even though I know products will fall into place, right? There will be financial products that fall into place to help you solve your problems, to help you get to where you want to go. There's no doubt about that. But it can't be about the products. It has to be about you and your goals and objectives. And then we got to look for the products that have the attributes that help you accomplish your goals. It's that simple. So anyway, see you on the next video. Have a blessed and inspirational day. We'll see you there.